Now, after that, we have identified the first and we completed understanding the first key process in the initiating process group. Now, let's move to the second key process that is involved in the initiating process group, which identifying the stakeholders. But first, let's understand stakeholders and project. In this session, we'll explore who our stakeholders are, their impact on project success, and the key tools and techniques for identifying and managing these stakeholders effectively. Also, we'll understand the stakeholders' importance in terms of their impact on achieving the project objectives. Let's first start with asking ourselves who are stakeholders. So, stakeholders are any individuals or groups or organizations that can affect or be affected by the project, either negatively or positively. And they include internal stakeholders like the team members or the project sponsor, and some external stakeholders like the clients or regulatory bodies. Each stakeholder has a unique expectation and different level of influence on the project objectives. What is the importance of stakeholder identification? So, identifying the stakeholders early is critical to the project success. It helps anticipating the project risks, also aligning the expectation and build the trust. Collaboration with the stakeholders throughout the project increases the likelihood of meeting the project objectives. So the key points that we can take here is the early identification helps to mitigate the risk in a more proactive way. Also, it ensures the alignment of all of the stakeholders with the project expectations. It also builds the trust and fosters the collaboration between different stakeholders and the project teams. What are the key inputs for the stakeholder identification process? So, inputs like the project charter and business documents provide a critical context for stakeholder identification. Organizational assets such as the lessons learned or guide the process by offering a historical insight. We are gonna cover each of these key inputs in more detail in the later sessions of this course. So, the key points here we say that the project charter, which provides the high level inputs about the stakeholder as one of the key inputs for this process, which identifying the stakeholders. Also, the business documents and the organization process assessed or the OPAs, such as the templates or lessons learned and policies. The business documents as a key input also here includes the agreements or the business cases or any historical data. What are the key tools for the stakeholder identification process? Tools like stakeholder analysis and power interest grid help to categorize the stakeholders and prioritize engagement efforts. Expert judgment provides invaluable insight into managing expectation effectively. So the key points here we have covered is the key tools that we can use when we are identifying the stakeholders, including the stakeholder analysis, the power interest grid, and the expert judgment. What would be the output of this process? So, the stakeholder register is a comprehensive document that detail the stakeholder names, roles, influence, and engagement strategies. It evolves throughout the project, serving as an important tool for an effective communication and collaboration. And this stakeholder register can be considered as one of the outputs of the stakeholder identification process. So the stakeholder, as we say, that it contains name, roles, influence, and engagement strategies and communication requirement. And that can be considered as a dynamic document that is updated throughout all of the project lifecycle. It helps facilitating an effective communication and engagement between the project manager and the stakeholders. Let's have more depth discussion about the stakeholder analysis in action as one of the key points that can be used. So, stakeholder analysis involves identifying all of the stakeholders, analyzing their impact, and categorizing them based on the influence and interest. For example, in a software project, the key stakeholders might include the project sponsors, the end users, and some of the team developers. What are the challenges that you might face when trying to identify the stakeholders? So, challenges in stakeholder identification include overlooking less visible stakeholders and handling conflicting expectation and adapting to changes in stakeholder dynamic as the project progress. Now, let's have a real world example on identifying stakeholders. So, in a public transportation project, stakeholders include, let's say, the government authorities or the residents, and also the public transport users. So, using the stakeholder analysis and power interest grid, the project team developed an engagement plan to address the diverse needs effectively by the stakeholders. To summarize our session, we said that understanding the stakeholders is fundamental to the project success and achieving the project objectives. By leveraging tools like the Power Interest Grid and maintaining up to date stakeholder register, project managers can ensure effective engagement and alignment with the project goals.